The pre-op nurse checked my IV one last time while I stared at my phone. My brother Marcus's text glowed on the screen, each word a small betrayal I'd learned to expect. Can't miss the concert for your surgery. You'll be fine without me. Tickets were $300 each. I was scheduled for a partial thyroidectomy in 40 minutes. The nodules they'd found 3 months ago had grown suspicious enough that Dr. Patterson recommended removal. Not life-threatening, he'd assured me, but not something to ignore either. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to type so many things, that I'd been there for his college graduation when I had pneumonia, that I'd driven him to the airport at 4 a.m. for his Vegas bachelor party, that maybe, just once, a concert could wait. Instead I typed, "Understood, have fun." Mom called 2 minutes later. I could hear Dad's voice in the background. "Honey, Marcus told us about the conflict," she said, her tone apologetic but firm. "You know how hard it is to get Coldplay tickets. He's been waiting months for this." "It's fine, Mom. And really it's just a simple surgery, right? You said yourself it's routine. We thought we'd come visit this weekend instead, once you're feeling better." I watched the IV drip. "That works. Your father and I talked about it. Marcus needs this break. He's been working so hard at the practice, so many patients depending on him. The stress is overwhelming." My brother was a dermatologist in Scottsdale, a successful one according to every family dinner conversation for the past 4 years. His practice specialized in cosmetic procedures, Botox, fillers, laser treatments. The family was enormously proud. "I understand," I said. "We knew you would. You've always been so reasonable about these things. So independent. We'll FaceTime you after the surgery." "Okay, sure, Mom." She hung up just as the anesthesiologist arrived to introduce himself. Dr. Kim, middle-aged with kind eyes, explained what would happen once they wheeled me back. I barely heard him. I was thinking about Marcus's Instagram story from an hour ago. Him and his girlfriend, Elena, pre-gaming with champagne, both wearing matching concert t-shirts. The surgery went fine. I woke up groggy, throat burning, in a recovery room with beige curtains and the steady beep of monitors. A nurse whose name tag read Jennifer checked my vitals and brought me ice chips. "Is someone picking you up?" she asked. "Friend," I managed to croak. "On her way." My college roommate Sarah arrived an hour later, full of apologies about traffic. She helped me get dressed, collected my discharge instructions, and drove me to my apartment in silence that felt more supportive than any words. My phone had 17 notifications. 14 were Instagram tags from the concert. Marcus had posted videos of every song, the crowd singing along, him and Elena kissing during the encore. Mom had commented with heart emojis on every single post. There were 2 texts from Mom, "How did it go?" and 3 hours later, "Assume you're resting, talk tomorrow." 1 text from Dad, "Your mother says everything went well." Good. Nothing from Marcus. Sarah stayed with me that night, sleeping on my couch, checking on me every few hours. In the morning she made scrambled eggs. I could barely swallow and downloaded 3 seasons of a British baking show to my tablet. "Your family is something else," she said carefully, refilling my water bottle. "They're busy," I replied, my voice still raspy. "Marcus has a lot of patience. You're their patient today. Their daughter, their sister." I didn't have an answer for that. The weekend visit never happened. Mom texted Friday afternoon, "Your father's back is acting up. Rain check." I sent a thumbs up emoji, and spent the weekend working through case files on my laptop, my throat gradually healing, the bandage on my neck a reminder nobody had bothered to see. Marcus called the following Tuesday, chipper and energized. "Hey, how's the neck?" "Healing fine." "Good, good. Listen, the concert was absolutely incredible. Best show I've ever seen. Elena and I are thinking about catching them in LA next month too. You should have heard them do Fix You. Literal chills. Sounds amazing. Anyway, I'm calling because I need a favor. I've got this patient situation that's blown completely out of proportion. You work in medical stuff, right? Some kind of administrative thing?" I paused. "Something like that. This woman came in for lip fillers 8 months ago. Standard procedure. I've done thousands of these. Now she's claiming she has permanent nerve damage, that I was negligent. It's absolutely ridiculous. Her lawyer sent a formal complaint to the medical board last week." My hand tightened on my phone. "The medical board? Yeah, it's total bullshit. My lawyer says it'll blow over, but it's stressful. You know, having something like this hanging over you. I was hoping maybe you'd know someone who could offer advice, since you work in healthcare regulation." I worked in healthcare regulation. That was one way to phrase it. I'll look into it, I said calmly. You're the best, sis. Hey, we should grab dinner soon. Catch up properly. Sure, Marcus. He hung up without asking about my pathology results, which had come back benign. I sat in my office, the California State Medical Board Director's office, with windows overlooking downtown Sacramento, and opened my email. The formal complaint was already there, flagged for my review as board chair. I'd been avoiding it, the name Dr. Marcus Chen, making my stomach turn every time it appeared in my queue. But protocol was protocol, and I'd built my entire career on maintaining objective professional standards. I opened the file. Patricia Morrison, age 42, had received lip augmentation at Desert Glow Dermatology on March 15. According to her statement, Dr. Marcus Chen had been rushing through appointments that day, mentioning multiple times he had concert tickets that evening. During the procedure, she felt sharp, shooting pain that he dismissed as normal discomfort. The pain never stopped. Nerve conduction studies confirmed permanent damage to her inferior alveolar nerve. She had constant numbness, occasional burning sensations, and difficulty with certain facial expressions. 3 other specialists had reviewed her case and confirmed the injury was consistent with improper injection technique and failure to follow standard anatomical precautions. March 15. I checked my calendar archive. That was the day before my surgery. He'd been rushing through procedures to make sound check. I read the entire file twice. The evidence was damning. Marcus had documented the appointment in his records as taking 12 minutes. The standard filler procedure required 20 to 30 minutes of careful work. His notes mentioned Patricia's pain, but dismissed it as patient anxiety. He'd provided no follow-up care when she called his office 4 times reporting persistent symptoms. 2 other complaints had been filed against him in the past year, both dismissed due to insufficient evidence. But the pattern was there once you looked: rushing, cutting corners, prioritizing volume over care. As board chair, I had several options. I could recuse myself due to conflict of interest, the most common choice when family was involved. I could assign the case to my deputy director for independent review, or I could follow the exact protocol I'd established for every other case: preliminary investigation, evidence review, and if warranted, a formal hearing. I called my deputy director, James Morrison. The Chen complaint, I said. I need to disclose that the respondent is my brother. There was a pause. Your brother? I didn't realize. Do you want to recuse? What would you do if this was any other case with this evidence profile? Fast track it to a formal hearing. The nerve damage documentation is solid. The pattern of rushed care is clear, and patient safety is obviously compromised. Then that's what we do. But I want everything by the book. Triple check every procedure. I won't have anyone claiming special treatment, positive or negative. Understood. The notification letter went out 3 days later. Standard protocol. Dr. Marcus Chen was informed that his case had been elevated to a formal investigative hearing, scheduled for 8 weeks from the date of the letter. He would need to provide detailed documentation, appear before the board panel, and face potential disciplinary action, ranging from mandatory education to license suspension. My phone rang at 6:47 p.m., the day he received the letter. What the hell is this? Marcus didn't bother with hello. A formal hearing. This is insane. I told you this was a bullshit complaint. I can't discuss active cases, I said calmly. Can't discuss? Are you kidding me right now? I'm your brother, which is exactly why I can't discuss it. There are protocols, Marcus. Ethical walls. Ethical walls. Since when do you care about? Wait. His voice changed, sharpening with realization. What exactly is your job title? I'm the director of the California State Medical Board. Silence. Long enough that I checked if the call had dropped. You're what? I've been the director for 3 years. Before that, I was deputy director for 2 years. I started with the board 9 years ago as a senior investigator. But you, Mom said you did administrative work. Paperwork. She said you had some desk job in healthcare. I do administrative work. I administer the medical board that regulates every physician license in California. I could hear his breathing, heavy and sharp. And you're going after me. Your own brother. I'm not going after anyone. A patient filed a legitimate complaint with credible evidence of harm. The board is following standard investigative protocol. This is because of the surgery, isn't it? You're still pissed I went to the concert. Something cold settled in my chest. This has nothing to do with a concert, Marcus. This is about a patient who has permanent nerve damage because you were rushing through procedures. That's not proven. It's her word against mine. Actually, it's her word plus 3 independent neurological assessments, plus nerve conduction studies, plus your own medical records showing a 12-minute procedure, plus testimony from your office staff about the volume of patients you scheduled that day. I can't believe you're doing this. Does mom know? Does dad know what you're trying to do to me? I'm not trying to do anything except ensure patient safety and proper medical standards. I'm calling them right now. They're going to hear about this. He hung up. I set my phone down and returned to the file, making notes for the preliminary evidence review meeting scheduled for the next morning. My phone rang again 20 minutes later. Mom, how could you? Her voice was shaking. Your own brother. Mom, I can't discuss. He's devastated. Absolutely devastated. Do you know what this could do to his career? His reputation? A patient has permanent nerve damage. These things happen in medicine. Complications happen. That doesn't mean you destroy your brother over it. I'm not destroying anyone. The board is conducting a standard investigation. You're the board. Marcus said you run the whole thing. You could make this go away. I closed my eyes. That's not how this works. Of course it's how it works. You have power and you're choosing to use it against family, against your own brother who has worked so hard to build his practice. He injured a patient because he was rushing to a concert. Oh, so this is about the concert. I knew it. You've been holding on to that grudge this whole time, haven't you? He missed one surgery, one, and you've been waiting for a chance to punish him. Mom, that's not. Do you know what he's been through? The stress he's under, running a practice, managing staff, dealing with demanding patients, and now his own sister is trying to ruin him. My throat was tight, the scar from my surgery pulled when I swallowed. I'm trying to protect patients. What about protecting family? Doesn't that matter at all to you? Dad got on the line. Your mother is very upset. I understand. This hearing, can you postpone it? Give Marcus time to prepare a proper defense. The timeline is standard for all cases of this severity, but he's family. Surely you can show some flexibility. Showing flexibility would be unethical. It would be exactly the kind of special treatment that undermines public trust in medical regulation. Public trust, Dad repeated, his voice cold. You're choosing public trust over your own brother. I'm choosing to do my job. Then maybe you need to reconsider whether that job is worth losing your family over. The line went dead. The weeks before the hearing were silent. No calls, no texts, no emails. Sarah checked on me regularly, bringing takeout and listening to me process the situation. My therapist helped me work through the complicated knot of duty, family, and old wounds that I kept insisting weren't relevant. But they are relevant, Dr. Williams said during our session, 2 weeks before the hearing. You can maintain professional objectivity and still acknowledge that your family's pattern of dismissing you is part of the emotional context. The emotional context doesn't change the facts of the case. No, but it does explain why this is so hard for you. The hearing took place on a Wednesday morning, in a conference room designed to be deliberately neutral and somewhat intimidating. The panel consisted of 4 board members, 2 physicians, and 2 public representatives. I sat in my role as chair, having disclosed my relationship to Marcus at the start, and confirmed that all panel members were comfortable proceeding with my presence. Marcus arrived with his attorney, a sharp-looking woman named Victoria Chen, who specialized in medical defense. Elena was there too, sitting in the public gallery next to Mom and Dad. All 3 of them looked at me like I was a stranger, a hostile one. The evidence presentation took 3 hours. Patricia Morrison testified about the procedure, the pain, the months of follow-up trying to get help, the permanent impact on her life. Her neurologist presented the medical findings. Marcus's office manager testified about the schedule that day, 37 patients, nearly triple his normal load. Marcus's defense was that complications happen, that he'd followed proper procedure, that the nerve damage could have occurred regardless of timing or technique. His expert witness, a dermatologist from Arizona, testified that the 12-minute timeline was aggressive, but not necessarily negligent. The board deliberated for 90 minutes. I didn't participate in the discussion, maintaining my role as procedural overseer only. When they returned, Dr. Patel, the senior physician on the panel, read the findings. The board finds that Dr. Marcus Chen failed to meet the standard of care expected of a licensed physician in California, specifically Dr. Chen demonstrated a pattern of prioritizing patient volume over patient safety, rushed a delicate procedure to accommodate personal plans, and failed to provide appropriate follow-up care when complications arose. The board orders a 6-month suspension of Dr. Chen's medical license, completion of a comprehensive course on patient safety and professional ethics, and 3 years of probationary status upon reinstatement. Additionally, Dr. Chen is required to make full restitution to Miss Morrison for medical expenses and damages. Marcus's face went white. Victoria Chen was already whispering to him, probably about appeals. Mom made a small sound of distress. Dad's jaw was clenched so tight, I could see the muscles jumping. Elena was staring at me with pure hatred. The hearing adjourned. I gathered my files while the room emptied. Marcus walked past without looking at me. Mom stopped at my chair. I hope you're satisfied, she said quietly. You've destroyed him. He destroyed himself when he put a concert ahead of patient care. That's not fair. People make mistakes, and when those mistakes permanently harm other people, there are consequences. You could have protected him. That's what family does. I looked at her directly. What family did for me when I had surgery, that kind of protection. She flinched. That was different. No, Mom, it really wasn't. She left without another word. The news coverage was brief. Scottsdale dermatologist suspended for negligent care, made a few medical blogs and local Arizona news sites. Marcus's practice released a statement about him taking time for continuing education and professional development. Elena posted on Instagram about toxic family members and betrayal, though she didn't name me directly. Sarah took me out for dinner that night. How are you holding up? She asked over Thai food I couldn't quite taste. I did the right thing. I know you did. I'm not asking if you did the right thing. I'm asking how you are. I set down my fork. My family isn't speaking to me. They think I'm vindictive and cruel. And there's this small hurt part of me that keeps going back to that pre-op room, reading Marcus's text over and over. The part that wanted him to show up. Yeah, that part gets to be hurt. That part gets to matter, even though you did your job correctly. I nodded, throat tight. For what it's worth, Sarah continued, Patricia Morrison has her life back. Maybe not the same life, but she has justice and accountability. That matters too. It did matter. I knew it did. But knowing something intellectually and feeling it emotionally were different things. 2 months after the hearing, I received an email from Patricia Morrison's attorney. Patricia wanted to thank me personally for taking her complaint seriously. She'd been told by 3 other medical professionals that filing complaints was pointless, that boards always protected doctors, that she should just settle quietly. The fact that my brother was the doctor hadn't influenced the outcome. The evidence had, the standards had, the commitment to patient safety above personal comfort had. I wrote back a brief professional response. Then I scheduled another session with Dr. Williams and called Sarah to plan a weekend trip somewhere far from Sacramento, far from family expectations, far from the weight of doing the right thing when it costs so much. My phone stayed silent. No calls from Mom, no texts from Dad, no Instagram tags from Marcus showing his redemption arc or professional comeback. Just silence, which was its own kind of answer. But my work inbox had 43 new case files waiting for review. 43 patients who needed someone to care more about safety than comfort, more about standards than relationships, more about protection than popularity. I opened the first file and began to read.